You can live life right now. Let that determine what you say and do and think. What's up, world? This is M, premium ghostwriter, health and nutrition digital writer, and final year med student. I just decided during my on call, I have some downtime because I'm stationed at the wards this time. So it's mostly just like checking up every certain hour. So in this video, you're gonna see a couple of the stoicism systems that I apply to keep sane in my final year of med school. So the first time I ever heard about stoicism was from Tim Ferriss's blog, Stoicism 101, a practical guide for entrepreneurs, which, non-surprisingly, a part written, helped by Ryan Holiday. From there, I got into what was stoicism about. I just loved the quotes, like it just resonated really well, and it helped me like find ways to like keep calm and keep grounded, right? So that's my first time like that I discovered it. Stoicism is really important to me personally because way back I really struggled with anxiety, and especially during high school. That I wish I knew about stoicism way back, right? I used to go into many negative thinking spirals. I used to overreact when something bad has happened, even trivial things, and I would just have knot in my chest, headache, right, insomnia, and that's many years of like mental mental torture, right? When I could have just like accepted the things and nothing so serious has happened, right? Now that I can really reflect. And so stoicism, many of these systems that I'm going to tell you about is what's going to help me in this critical final year that is usually typically stressful. People would do a lot of things to try to cope, and a lot of things that aren't healthy, but stoicism has provided me the mindset frameworks that could really help me, and I hope that could help you if you're going through something similar or are also in a final year of something, or also medical school, right? That hopefully it can help. So I just wanted you guys to know that Stoicism isn't a religion. Stoicism is a philosophy. It's mostly focused on individual growth and resilience, while religion is more like it has a belief system. You kind of have the space of a belief in the supernatural. There's a social kind of spiritual aspect, community aspect, identity sort of, right? And then the stoicism with not capital S just means like calmness, not complaining, enduring, right? It could be used as an adjective, um, also like a noun, but the stoicism with a capital S is the philosophy I'm talking about. All right, just that quick distinction there. 6 stoic systems for keeping sane as a final year med student, right? I'm going to talk about the dichotomy of control in 2 ways. First, how it addresses anxiety, how it addresses a couple of interpersonal common problems while being a med student, working in teams and all that, how we can deal with what certain bad events could happen, as well as how the obstacle is the way. It's a common saying. The art of acquiescence, as well as the final one, which a lot of people, I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but mortality, right? So let's get into it. So luckily, I had a bit of break. They allowed me to go, and then I just come back like at 6 a.m. So I got to get back home, kind of just refresh and get my real microphone again. So enjoy the better audio, right? So the first Stoic system, right? The overarching kind of principle that is in Stoicism is called dichotomy of control. Di means like two, so this or that, right? Basically, we talk about what is in our control and what is not in our control. So when it comes to like anxiety, and this quote that I'm gonna share here: if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Basically, when it comes to things that make you anxious, and anxiety comes from like being scared about consequences of the future, perhaps, or most of the time, right? You don't know what's gonna happen. You think the worst of the worst, right? And like this, I have a great example is when exams come up. when you have an upcoming, what we have here is like weekly evaluations, then you get really stressed out and you're anxious and everything. And even worse, the final exam or the practical exam. But throughout like my years studying here, literally the same thing happens. I don't know if I would call it overreact, but it's just a normal response. My body, I get nervous, right? And I've learned that it's not that I want to avoid these feelings. It's that I care, right? I care about doing well, passing my evaluations to show that I'm progressing, right, in my training. And what happens is that I stress out so much. I get insomnia. I think about the worst that could happen. I get sad and everything. And then the thing passes. I do my best, and afterwards, I'm all right, right? And whatever outcome, I've learned to just know what to do. Like I can't control what's coming on the exam. I can't control who evaluates my answers, right? And if I have no control over that, then me stressing out about it, and if I want to figure out tactical things, practical things to do about it, I can't because I don't have control over it. So once I have accepted that I don't have any control over it, what I do have control over is my preparation. So me studying, putting in the hours, putting in the effort, doing some tests, right? Like a mock tests, some questions for myself, right? Going over materials, right? Doing everything I can to prepare the best way I can. That's something I can control. And once I have that understood, then I don't get as anxious, right? And so many things that we are so anxious about, even like what people think, right? Then that really destroys us. That controls us a lot. And I've gotten the concept of what's in my control, what's not, and I focus on what's in my control, then I'm freed. I no longer have to be worrying about the other things because I let that go. And once I let that go, then I don't stress out as much, right? It's so important because in med school everybody wants to do their best. Everyone wants to get the highest grades. They want to represent, like in our case, international medical students. We want to come back to our countries with the highest of the highest grades, but really, that's a lot of pressure. And when you have so much pressure like that, then you could fall into a lot of pretty unhealthy coping mechanisms, right? So instead of going through that, or even worse, going through that short term before the exam, stressing out, right, nervous, right, then just realize like how many times have you done this by now? It's been over 5 years of this, right? And every time that has happened, what worse could have happened, right? This life-threatening, right? So that's so much stress on the body that you don't need. It's gonna complicate things chronically if you continue to have these repeated patterns of stress when really the anxiety could be let go. Like it's going to happen anyway, and whether the outcome is quote unquote good or bad, you don't have control over that. And if you know that it's just going to pass and you've done everything that you could, then why I would skip the period of time before the exam of just stressing out and feeling like life is just terrible until afterwards. Because that's what I used to do. I used to feel like I can't enjoy water, I can't enjoy my food until after this scary thing happened or scary thing passes, which is the exams, typically, right? But now I realized, reflecting all the times I've done exams, it has turned out all right, and I've done everything that I could. And even if it didn't turn out as well, then I know what to do afterwards. I've come to have a bit of peace with what I don't have control over, and that's essentially liberating. So Stoic System number 2 is sort of an extension of the first principle of dichotomy control. Now I want to talk about like interpersonal stuff, interpersonal relationships and events. So basically, based on this main directing quote, which is so powerful. When I first read this, when I first discovered this, I was like, yeah, this has this has helped me like really like not hold grudges, and gave me a bit of peace of mind, like a bit of closure on my own part. This is probably like expressed in other ways, of other more common ways, but I just really enjoy this quote. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but of the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. You kind of don't realize how powerful this is. Like, it just lets you go of like disliking people or just like being like, oh, they're so bad, right? Because they don't follow the same, like your same principles of the worldview or how you should treat other people, right? This helped me so much because in med school you're going to meet all kinds of patients. You're going to meet people that kind of just, they're emotional and it's understandable. You have the empathy to see that they're struggling, they're hurt, they're in pain. And so sometimes they project that, right? They project their anger and frustration sometimes that, let's say, they can't really do things on their own given their condition, or they're admitted in the hospital. They can't just freely go out to do things. They can't see their friends. And so they kind of take it out on you, and they kind of sometimes aren't cooperative. So this quote really helps because they're gonna treat you a certain way, you're going to feel bad, and instead of just writing them off as terrible people, or even in real, like your interpersonal friends or family, then you don't have to really condemn them, right? So another thing is sometimes the supervisors, right? They sometimes don't treat you as well either, because well, sometimes as a foreigner student, they're also frustrated with our kind of pacing with the language. We study everything in Spanish here, in the context of me studying in Cuba, right? So because of that, there's both struggles, right? We're trying to understand each other, or the way we express might not be exactly how they want it. Then they kind of just really treat us that well, or they kind of verbally use a couple of things, and it's not great. It's not a great feeling, but it's something that I just come to like understand better. And because I come from a place of understanding, I really can't hate. It's kind of a principle, not exactly stoicism, but what I've come to learn, that you can't hate and understand someone at the same time. Because once you understand someone, then there's no really a reason to hate. This quote is ultra powerful, and the thing with stoicism, again, you can't control other people's behavior. It's very hard. You can't change it, and because of that, you have no control over this, but you have control over how you have perceived it, how you have like kind of worked through it, so, or just interpreted it in a way that if you really look into your own self, have you not made mistakes with expressing yourself suddenly out of anger and not realized, okay, maybe you thought it was a good idea at the time, but it probably wasn't, reflecting, right? It's hard to admit those things. So when it comes to like the kind of tough treatment, the emotional kind of roller coaster of like dealing with a couple of patients that are kind of projecting or being uncooperative, or a couple of supervisors that don't seem to have a bit more compassion, especially for us like foreigner students studying a different language. That's a challenge on its own. And then it's not about saying they're completely bad people, and we can't prevent them. We can't always prevent those experiences, but we could view them a bit more like with empathy, with compassion, and not that it's like there's this, the saying of, if you get hit in one cheek, then just receive the other, or something like that. It's not exactly like that, but it's more accepting, a bit of understanding of just being human, and that we would have those moments as well. We probably don't realize it, right? But yeah, it's just accepting that you had no control over that and they would act that way again. I just love that part with they can't distinguish good from evil. Not that everything is just black and white, but maybe they don't realize how they could be hurtful. Maybe at the moment, right? And how many times have we kind of made some mistakes, similar mistakes, right? And when you realize like that, then you can't really say, oh, they're all bad, right? So that gives me a bit of peace. It doesn't mean that you just allow them all the time. There's a certain time and place to kind of explain things, or sometimes it's very difficult to kind of like explain sometimes to a superior, or sometimes like you're just left with trying to deal with the patient, and that's not easy. And right now I'm in pediatrics rotation. It's pretty difficult to deal with the parents that we have to come to understand that they are really they love their child, so when something happens to them they just want the best treatment, and then they would really not want something tragic to happen. And so when the child is having some symptoms that feel like foreign to them, scary to them, of course they're gonna kind of express a lot of like emotion. So just a short story, the other on call, I had one that was just really like, I have to say ranging, like shouting at me and kind of like telling me how bad, just kind of a couple of demeaning things. But because I have a sense of groundedness, because I follow Stoicism, these principles, that I don't blame him, right? I probably would react the same if I was in their position. So I keep my calm, right? And so they rushed to the emergency, and it's funny because like afterwards, the same parent just came up to me to apologize how they reacted. But I'm just like, it's cool because like it's not my first time doing on call with a couple of like more emotional, right, expression from the parents, but you learn to kind of like know how to deal with them, like just naturally like stay calm and try to explain things, right? Try to maintain some boundaries, some limits, right? Do your best with that. It's definitely like it's not taught exactly in med school, but you learn to kind of navigate it, right? So well, let me know if you want more like frameworks for that, because I've come to realize like not everybody knows how to deal with these things, but until you met them, then you know you know how to deal with them. But ideally, I would have loved being briefed on how to explain, how to communicate in a way where we don't have a lot of like emotional highs of conflict and everything like that. So, yeah, with this second Stoic principle, which is just applying the dichotomy of control again, then we know when we deal with certain people, right, and we're kind of upset and disappointed at their treatment of us, then we kind of take the step back and realize, it doesn't sound good to say we're the same, but just in the sense of being human, being imperfect, then you give that closure for yourself, because if you hold that resentment, that's kind of just self-poison, right? So that's Stoic System number 2. Stoic System number 3 is about the training of perceptions. It's about seeing things as objectively as possible, not labeling things as all good, all bad. Right? So this follows the quotes that I resonated with a lot for this, which is, so and so's son is dead. What happened? His son is dead. Nothing else? Not a thing. So and so's ship sank. What happened? His ship sank. So and so's was carted off to prison. What happened? He was carted off to prison. But if we add to this, he has had bad luck, then each of us is adding this observation on his own account. This is really powerful, because you realize that if you see things for what it is, then you don't have to have these kind of rough emotions about them, right? You don't have to say, oh, this is a good thing or this is a bad thing, so I must feel bad or I must feel happy or something. Because if you go through so many of these extremes up and down, then, let's say you pass your exam with grades flying colors, that's your high. But then because you know that, and then what would be the opposite, right? What if you just get a 3? Well, here the grades are like 3, 4, 5 for passing grades. So 3 is almost like a 70-ish, 4 is like 80, and then 5 is obviously 100 or 90s, right? In terms of like 100% as a grading system. That's how the kind of like evaluation is like. Obviously 2 would just mean you didn't pass. So let's say you get 3, and then compared to the high, then you will start to feel disappointed. And then that ruins you, because then you're gonna affect yourself like psychosomatically, right? Why would you go through that? And in med school, obviously people, again, it's this weird competitive nature when it doesn't have to be. To kind of navigate this in my final year, like I don't get into like too highs and too lows, right? I kind of try to stabilize whatever happens. It's not good or bad. It's more like opportunity, which this will bridge to the next Stoic system. But it's better to kind of see things for what it is instead of kind of labeling things, because otherwise you're going to train yourself to feel a certain way, and then you get over, like, I wouldn't say the word's overreactive, but when you have these emotional kind of turmoil, then that really, really affects you, and then you start to depend on what you need to do to get the highs, right? You kind of obsess, and that is stressful. You don't need that stress in your final year. I would like to approach things with a bit more lightheartedness, but less like intense. Otherwise, you're going to continue doing this, and it'll feel like a heavy type of activity. Then you start having other like problems. You start to need to cope more. You start to need to find something to kind of relieve yourself, and then that's not really good, right? For yourself in the long term, it's not sustainable. Everything starts to feel like pressure, and then you're not having fun either. And you can't beat someone who is having fun. The Stoic System number 4 is about how the obstacle is the way, and the fact that every event is actually an opportunity to act in your highest self way, act in like justice, courage, temperance. I'll kind of put the 4 main virtues up here, and basically based on the quote, which is that I have here, it's not unfortunate that this has happened. No, it's fortunate that this has happened, and I've remained unharmed by it. In a sense, this could also help you with anxiety part, right? The fact that we can't control things, but when things do happen, right? Whether or not we say it's bad or good, it's more like, again, opportunity. It's your chance to like, how will you react, right? What is the right way to react in a way that's like calm and not like too much emotion, I would say. So when it comes to like the final year of med school, a lot of things will happen. When you're on call, a lot of things happen as well, right? Let's say a lot of people have passed away and we're not able to save everybody, and that's emotionally taxing. The many families that start to express their grief, and that's an awful feeling, and it's not something we can always control. Then we think about, okay, what can we do about this? It's an opportunity, right, to kind of reflect for yourself, reflect on your loved ones, that if you have some things that are totally preventable, it's kind of like gives you that reality check. Let's say you get a less than perfect grade, right? You don't like the grade you got for some exam. Now, yes, you're going to go through a bit of brief period of just the grief of like, oh, that's too bad, right? You get disappointed, you get a little bit depressed, but not permanently, right? And then now, okay, this is an opportunity to try better next time, right? There's always the next time, the next decision, the next action. So you choose the right thing, maybe you study a bit more, maybe you take a bit more like practice questions, right? It's your opportunity. Another event would be, let's say you're on the wards, right? As an intern, well, we're an intern, we're kind of fresh in the workplace scene. We're gonna be making mistakes, right? You're gonna be kind of scolded for those mistakes, right? So instead of feeling so bad about it, it's not about you as a person. It's just a bit of a matter of doing enough repetitions to the point that you know how to do it well, or you try to understand how things work. So then, okay, you make a mistake, maybe you messed up a certain write-up, and now they're telling you, okay, you gotta redo the whole thing. It's not about feeling terrible about it, right? It's your opportunity to do a better job of it, right? It's yeah, it's nothing to like condemn yourself or say you're a bad person, right? Because that's what a lot of people go through, because then you try to attach so much into like it's in the point of this your whole identity, when actually there are other strengths that you have, right? And then you just work on what was like instructed for you, or you do your best that you could, instead of getting yourself down and like criticizing yourself, and then all of a sudden you're such a bad person. Like, that's not how it goes, right? When you practice stoicism in the way of this specific principle of how, okay, you reach a roadblock, you kind of struggle with something, well, now it's your opportunity to take steps to get over it, or to improve a certain skill that you need some help with. It's always an opportunity. Any event that happens, good or bad, someone didn't show up on the on-call for your team, well now, okay, what can we do about this? We can split, take some more breaks, we'll help out a bit more here and there, right? It's just like, it opens your mind a bit to the creativity of it. It doesn't make you like condemn things, condemn yourself, condemn others, right? It's more like being practical, right? And a bit more creative. So Stoic System number 5 is the art of acquiescence. It's like acquiring. The quote we have here is amor fati, or the love of fate. This is also, it helps with the anxiety. Life throws you a bunch of different events, curveballs. We learn to just appreciate what's coming, right? We can't control all of it. We can only control how we address it, as well as how we see it, right? And the best way to see it is just objectively. Don't be putting so many big labels, otherwise you have that roller coaster of emotions. What this looks like in day-to-days of like kind of surviving or just keeping sane as a final year med student, where there's so much pressure, is that on the wards or during your on-call, you're gonna have different types of patients, different supervisors, different team members you're going to be working with. There might be some obstacles, you might have little tips, conflict here and there, the patient not treating you well, or your supervisor is kind of tough and like strict. All of this, like, you can't control it, but you can learn to accept these are things that are going to come at you at some point in your life. You're going to deal with all of these sort of events or people or circumstances, and it's just all like having this open, embracing attitude towards it. And that, to me, again, is another way of really being free from that kind of pressure of wanting to control everything, wanting to know everything that will go well, or being obsessed with too much of the discipline of, let's say, getting all the good grades or getting the best performance, or wanting to just finish the year off impeccably. It lets go of that kind of pressure and stress of it. And so I appreciate the things that happen that I can't control. In times like I have a bike that I go to school, and sometimes something is loose in it, I have to go and fix it. The basket is loose, or the part where I'm steering, since it's a bike that you put together different parts, then it gets loose, and then I have to deal with that. Or tires are flat and then I have to go pump air. Random things happen, and then it's like, and I apply all the other principles. Control what has happened, I can deal with it. I don't consider it good or bad. And yeah, that's basically it. Like, just being open to the things that will come at you, will happen. It's gonna happen at some point. It's gonna happen in a different form. You can learn to kind of expect it, then it's less surprising. And when it comes to like the different events, then these are opportunities, right? Opportunities to act in the higher self in the best way. So that's the 5th system that I follow in Stoicism to survive med school. The 6th Stoicism might be, again, to repeat, it might be very uncomfortable for some people. And the quote I have here that grounds me with this is, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." So sometimes we want to react to something and it might, again, maybe we didn't think of it. Maybe we thought it was a good idea at the time. Let's say re-express yourself if some patient shouted at you for some reason, or a supervisor didn't treat you as well and you reacted in a certain way that wasn't as good as you thought it would be, like if you were calmer. It goes back to like also the kind of saying memento mori. Like if you knew, I don't know, if you ground yourself in like kind of the brevity of life, then you would kind of be acting a little bit different. There's this other saying like, live as if it's your second chance at life. There's so many ways to like be kind of your higher and your best self. The things that are the right things to do might not always be the things that make you feel good. What they say is called the bigger person, but that's kind of misleading. It's more like just a universal kind of values expression of acting in the best way possible, to act in high righteousness towards the virtues of Stoicism, which could be pretty universal. It's not only in Stoicism that you learn about how to be good person, interpersonally, to yourself and your own development, right? And of serving others in terms of your purpose, right, and your role. Part of Stoicism is something I go back to a lot. This one reminds me to just act according to my inner values and dignity. There's this other kind of quote that goes something along the lines, I'm butchering it, but still something I think about a lot. Let's not waste time about arguing what makes like the best or the greatest person. Just be one. Let's not kind of be policing other people to kind of just be like us, but why don't we just represent ourselves? Let's be the best example. In all cases, you don't need to pressure other people to be the same. Just be the person, and then you will naturally kind of lead people to follow those principles, hopefully. Not all the time, again, like I said, like you can't force people to change their behavior. You don't have control over that, but you have control over yourself, and so you do your part. Voila, this is everything I want to share about the different Stoic principles I follow, especially in terms of keeping sane as a final year med student. It comes with all its own challenges. These are like ultra useful if you've never heard of them before, or you probably heard of them in some other way similar. So here's just a refresher, different way of looking at it, and I hope the couple of quotes have helped. I'm not like an expert in Stoicism all the way, but I just love learning the philosophy, practical ways that I can apply directly. And the quotes really help me. I'm continuing to apply them up until the end and even the rest of my life. It's constant reminders, and I hope this has been useful for you. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Do you want to know a bit more, something I didn't cover deep enough in this video about Stoicism? Do leave it in the comments, and I hope you catch me in the next video where I'm going to review a movie that has taught me an overarching life lesson that many people forget about. And with the rise of all this pressure these days to just be already settled and like successful or something, right? Then that's a lot of stress and pressure. I mean, there's no need for that. So make sure you can subscribe if you want to, so that you can get notified of that new video. Like the video if you'd like, and I will see you in the next one.